Now, ladies and gentlemen, with data miners and players thinking last week's update was the final one for 2023, well, think again, Valve have just spoken. And yes, for those wondering, this is the latest update on the 13th that we're talking about, where everyone across the board thought this would be the final update for 2023. But Gaben seems to not want to take any days off. But it also seems like my predictions are becoming real. Based off this recent update, there's not really any big content, if any at all. There's just some major fixes, that being for cosmetics and some miscellaneous things here and there, mainly to do with maps, and as it goes for bug fixes, because we all know these recent updates for CS2 come with a lot more broken things than they actually fix. So far, just being a couple days later as of recording, all things seem to be good. Today's video, there's much to discuss. We'll break down this most recent update, talk about the biggest changes, well, if there's any, but most importantly, the content coming soon, and the shadow updates this update launched with. Today's video sponsor is SkinsMonkey. SkinsMonkey is a buying and trading marketplace for Counter-Strike 2. Trade the skins you no longer want for something new, and in the case that your balance isn't enough for the item that you want, you can top it up by using code MANDO for a free $5 every $100 you spend, alongside a 35% deposit bonus if you top up with cash. They currently have a free Christmas gift for everyone watching, that being either a free skin, an additional deposit bonus up to 50%, or even a free balance on the site. The first gift is free and you can earn many more by trading through the site. In addition, they have prepared an advent calendar for everyone watching. You can earn XP, an extra deposit bonus, and even tickets to enter the giveaway for the 13 skins shown on screen. If interested, the link will be in the top of the description down below. Now this is Luke in the post edit. For the players who have commented and DM'd of where I am and why I have been uploading this past week, I really appreciate it, but I'm happy to say we are back. Over the past week, I have been pretty sick. I've been coughing to the point where it's starting to hurt my stomach and just hurt my body in general. I've also had a severe lack of sleep where I've only been able to sleep 2 to 3 hours a night, which is just, it's terrible. It's like I'm a walking zombie, and I've tried to record videos, but there's a cough every 5 seconds, which then there'll be some sort of edit, which is really annoying, but also I sound like a literal zombie from Call of Duty. And you might see this in today's video where there's different segments obviously recorded at different times or different days, and that's part of when this update actually got recorded. Anyway, I just wanted to give a quick thank you. Back to the video. For those who are wondering, yes, this video is around 3 days late, but since this update was so small, I didn't really see it as a priority to upload that when it came out. And just like for today's video, we're gonna go over the notes, but it's not really the update that's important here, it's the things surrounding it and the community feedback given to Valve. Like what cosmetics actually got fixed that had been waiting a very long time for, some map exploits, and just overall miscellaneous changes and fixes. But I'd say the biggest part of today is the shadow updates that weren't included in the blog post, and well, this ranges from performance upgrades to some leaked maps and content coming soon, and a bunch more we'll discuss in today's video. Now let's hop into the tweet. Judging by the title, you're wondering what bait is from Counter-Strike. And well, what I mean is clickbait. This update went live at around 4 to 5 p.m. and they posted this tweet around 11 p.m. So almost a whole 6 hours later. A lot of people on social media thought this was a completely different update. This is also where a lot of people, when they're not home, see if Valve updated CS2. Luckily, I was home, so I got to see it a little early and also didn't include much, but it's still clickbait for a lot of people. Some people thought there was going to be some sort of big content drop like a case, and there's good reasoning for either side, thinking there's going to be one and there's not. We know the cookery knife is in the game with old and brand new finishes. It's just a matter of time of when to release it. But judging off these recent updates for CS2 where they break a lot more than they fix, especially with the millions of players that got falsely game banned and then unbanned within 6 to 12 hours, they were still dealing with a lot of backlash, that being playing with a lot of low trust factor players because they had a low trust factor because they just got banned and it got lifted. With that all being fixed, yeah, we got nothing. Now here's the official blog post from Valve on December 18th. There's 3 different categories and they're all very small. At least we're getting subcategories, if that makes any sense. First up is the miscellaneous category where they fixed cases where weapons and C4s could fall through the ground. They fixed various bug fixes for stickers, weapon finishes, and gloves. That's very nice that they're somewhat specific of what they fixed and not just saying cosmetics to better match CSGO. For the workshop category, they fixed inconsistent behavior with triggers when crouching on workshop maps, and workshop maps as a whole have been very buggy, and there was a whole glitch where someone could hack your inventory, which I believe is now fixed. For the maps category, there's Italy, Nuke, Mirage, and Inferno. They changed some player collision surfaces types, and then for Inferno, they had a specific point where they fixed various gaps. And that pretty much concludes today's blog post, or should I say Tuesday. Now the first thing I want to discuss around this update, it's not shadow updates, but more so of a player reaction to this. As we all know with the bugs, glitches, false game bans that we recently had from these updates, people are starting to voice their concerns and get angry with Valve. Valve have yet to specifically mention in any blog post, and this is almost 2 weeks old now that these game bans happened, that they have fixed them, or with the workshop bug where someone could access your inventory where downloading a sketchy map off the workshop, which is now seemed to be fixed. They haven't even really talked about it, which is not really concerning, but it'd be nice to just hear something, you know, a confirmation that it's safe to play now, which Yes, it is. Now, the other reaction to the tweet, the blog post, and the entire update in general was just overall people complaining that there's not going to be any content anytime soon, and then we don't have any with this update. People are comparing Counter-Strike right now to every other game on Steam, let alone any other first-person shooter that's somewhat an esport. The finals just came out on Steam, and they already have winter updates, and it's a brand new game, yet Counter-Strike doesn't even have winter chickens. A few months back when CS2 first went public to everybody, I'm not sure if you guys remember, but a winter version of Cobblestone was in the game files. Now, if that's going to be released, I don't think so. I think it's way too late for that at this point. We're probably better off getting it at some point next year, and that just kind of goes for content as a whole. Now, from that last update on the 13th, we all know that Train has officially been added to the game files. Data miners and players now know that this map is probably coming to Counter-Strike 2 sometime in early 2024. And it doesn't just seem like a reskin from CSGO to CS2 with better lighting, something like Nuke or Mirage. No, it seems like an entire remaster, which is pretty awesome. Now, if it will go in the competitive map pool, I'm not sure. We gotta remember that the very first major in Copenhagen is in March, and then the second one in China, Shanghai, is most likely anywhere from September all the way to December. So I think the most likely situation for a map getting added to the map pool or something getting swapped out is probably after that major concludes in March. Once again, for clarification, as it goes for a case, not an operation with the new cookery knife and all the new finishes for it, we technically could see this before 2024, but I kind of doubt it. I think we're probably going to see this in January, February of 2024. And now we're going to hop into shadow updates from this update of what actually happened behind the scenes that you guys can actually have happen now. That's to do with performance. According to Thor CS, there's a bunch of different commands you can put into your console, let alone launch settings for CS2 to better your performance by quite a bit. The 1% FPS, the lowest it would dip down to, goes up quite a bit, and your overall FPS can go up around 10%. Only part about this is it really only affects Intel CPUs. I haven't really tried it with mine. I have Ryzen, so I'll let you guys know. What this setting does is it pretty much utilizes all of the P cores in your Intel CPU. I think over time, something like this will probably just be default into the game at one point or another, once things get more optimized and once we fix all the miscellaneous small things here and there. From this most recent update and the last one, I saw a pretty big FPS decrease, that being after the 13th, but after this most recent one on the 17th, I also saw some changes going in the better direction where I was getting almost 50 to 100 FPS more, but that was the normal 2 or 3 weeks prior. And with this update, we're getting around 10% more if we have these commands, which I hope to be default at some point or another. And then as it goes for skin changes that weren't included in the blog, at least specifics, there was around 6 that we know that have officially changed, that being the Eye of Horrors from this most recent Anubis collection. It seems to have gotten a lot more dark, that's about it. I'm not sure why, if it's to better match CSGO, but it looks alright. I kind of like the one prior. Then we had the M4A4 converter from the 2018 Inferno collection. It looks a lot better and similar to 2018 CSGO, or just the latest version of CSGO of what this skin would look like in there. And then they have the A1S Atomic Alloy from the Huntsman collection. This thing looks pretty awesome as well. I think this was also to better match CSGO, that being with wear, the little patterns and textures it has, but just overall in general, it looks pretty nice. And then we have the Mac 10 Gold Brick from the Ancient collection. I believe this is from one of the collections in 2021 or 2022 Operation Riptide. This thing does what it says. It looks a lot more gold, so that's pretty awesome. And then there were some small things with gloves and a few stickers here and there, but for the most part, these were the main skins that everyone was talking about. One thing to mention, and that I hope changes with CS2 in 2024, is one, obviously content, but two, I hope all of these weapon models eventually upgrade and update to these newer ones. The M4A1S Atomic Alloy, for an example. I hope these switch to the newer models because they look so sleek, they look so clean, and they just look somewhat natural now over here in CS2. It's like we're playing CS2 with CSGO weapons, and not that I have a problem with it, but it doesn't feel right some of the time, you know? I like playing with the new models, they look really, really awesome, and I'm just wondering when that will be. And lastly for today's video is some feedback that players have given to Valve based off this most recent update, its recent tweet that was, well, classified to be bait according to the community, and all the bugs the game has came with ever since launch. I've personally seen a lot of player feedback, one on my channel, but also through emails, but also Twitter messages and just Twitter comments as well. I see the community being split into two, but also a lot of it is just online, that being with social media. A lot of the other players are just playing the game who don't comment on Twitter and don't view tweets from Valve and people in the community. I think that's something we have to keep in mind as well. When I see polls on Twitter if people are enjoying or quitting CS2 or hate CS2, and more than 50% of it is, well, not playing and hate the game, a lot of those people, I'm not saying haven't given the game a try, and it's not that the reasons for not playing are bad either. I think everyone agrees with them all across the board. That being just performance in general, weekly bugs, and maybe a few others. In my opinion, it ain't all that bad. At this point, I'd like to say it's better than CSGO. Something we have to remember about Counter-Strike Global Offensive is that game didn't have new content all the time. That's what everyone wants right now. It's pretty much just a continuation off of CSGO. That's what Counter-Strike 2 is. And it's debatable at this moment if CSGO had a worse hit reg, better hit reg, or a worse or better anti-cheat. yeah, CS2 has some issues, but what Counter-Strike game hasn't? I honestly think if you haven't played the game in a while and you just kind of, well, left it off to the side because of how bad it was at that very moment, I think you should give it a shot and play a little. I know a lot of people in the community and my comments section have been playing a lot of something like Fortnite Zero Build because of how many updates and, well, those devs care about the game, but I've also played some CS, which has been very nice, and it's a nice mix between both. That pretty much concludes today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay positive, stay sexy. I'm out, guys. Peace.